Alright, so I started it right around 1:15, and right now it's 6:15, which means it's been going for about 5 hours. During that time, I've added more material to it one time, and I've stirred it a whole bunch of times, agitated it about every 10 minutes. I thought I might do it every 20, but in fact, I've been doing it every 10. And really, the more agitation, the better. The more often you do that, the better. It's literally been sitting beside me the entire time, except for a few minutes I was downstairs, because I'm here alone in my room. And this is something you can do. I have a lot of dark gold here and a lot of lighter gold. The lighter gold is the lower value 10K stuff. As you go up the chain, it gets progressively darker. And sometimes in electronics, they actually use grades of gold that are higher than 18K. Because I know that, I can make okay money doing this, hopefully. And I strip all kinds of stuff and remove all the componentry, and a lot of times it's connectors that pretty much appear to be solid gold that I'm taking out, but they're usually not. They usually have a core of something else, and you need to remove that, and there's a bunch of ways to do that. Um, if you can bring it to a jeweler with that already done, it's worth a lot more to them because they'll buy it off you by weight. If you separate it by carat, they will pay you by the carat for that weight of carat. If not, they tend to pay you and want to pay you for the lowest carat that they see represented, which in this batch would be a huge shame because I've spent the last 6 months gathering the darkest shit I could find. Into that, I've thrown a whole bunch of light shit that I've found because I keep finding these burners like I talked about, and they're light gold, but they do have a decent size. And then the little tiny ones that I find are the darker gold, and I love those ones. I've been finding tons of those, and there's a lot of those in here, like 50 of them. I counted, and there was over 40, and I still had some left, and I was like, okay, sweet. Um, but I separated everything out and a couple of times, and for carat and all that stuff, and there's actually three different carats of gold in here that are distinct. In addition to that, uh, I have some other materials in here, some nickel, some silver, other stuff like that. So this is going to be interesting because at the end, I have to sort through it all for the different types of flake and then go from there. So let's take a look at this. And as you can see, it is definitely starting to get a green tinge to it. It is no longer, as it started, a clear liquid, which really is proof that it's working in and of itself. Let's just see if we see any particles, but I do not yet see significant amounts of flake. In fact, when I stir it, I do see a little tiny bit. I will try and just, well, here, I'll put it this way so I can set it down. Maybe have a shot at showing you guys fairly close up here. And then I'll stir it, and we'll see if I zoom in, if you guys can see anything while I stir it. And I will be watching this myself after so that I can see. And I try and look at the state of some of the objects while I'm checking it and precipitating it. And I can see that this gold stuff is getting a lot darker. But when we pull it out of the fluid, it's the same color. It still looks bright. It's not stripped yet. See what I mean? I can pull material out and it's not looking stripped. It's still got bright. But I am seeing foil in the liquid, a fair bit of it here. Look at that. I mean, there's actually quite a bit of foil up and floating around in here. And it's getting to the point between all this agitation, which has been steady. Like I said, every 10 minutes or so, I do this to it for about a minute, and then I put it away. And with this, that really is the best possible thing that I could do, I think, is to do the formula that I've done, which is a little different than other people's formulas. They're going for a weaker solution that produces a weaker reaction, and I actually want it done faster than 24 hours. The last guy I saw, his best effort was 24 hours, he said. Okay, so my name is Keith Robinson. I am putting forward my best effort using just a little stronger solution. So now that I've showed you that part, I'm going to show you the next part. And we're going to flip this around. Sorry about that. And we're going to zoom right out. I'm going to move this to a distance where you can see better. And now I'm going to show you what I mean when I talk about adding a little bit of our primary ingredients to increase and encourage the reaction. Okay? And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And I'm going to stir it in. And now I'm going to add a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. But only about 100 mils. Now I'm going to add a little tiny bit more salt. Just like that. Not a lot, just a touch. Not a touch, a touch. Sorry, I misspoke. And now I'm just going to stir that all up nice. And I continued to add a little bit every so often during this process. This is now the second time that I am adding to it, and the last time I did about the same. And I got a nice foam out of it. So let's just let that sit and stand. This video is now 5 minutes, and I'd like to let that sit for a minute so we can see that foam coming up. And at the same time, because I'd like to freshen my vinegar a little bit, I'm just going to add about the same though, about 100 mils of vinegar, not a lot. Just a little bit of the primary ingredients, because there's still plenty in there. And again, I'm going to mix it up, just to see if that helps me get my foam. And we do have a very dark solution here compared to what this was. And I am seeing a fair bit of flake, which is good. And if I bring up one of these circuit boards and inspect it, I know I'm not going to see any reduction. And if I look, sure enough, I'm still seeing gold on the corners, and I'm not seeing any real difference in this. But on the other side, I am seeing the board slowly start to be depopulated, as you can see here, around the edges. And that is a good sign, because it means it's getting rid of this enamel, this green enamel. And as you can see, it's doing the same right here on the corner, and it doesn't have much farther to go before it gets to the gold. And since the gold is on the corners of these, I could technically pull them fairly quickly. And because the little bit of gold that's on here is already come out, or is almost come out. This one's still not come out, but the others have. That's the computer CPUs. That accounts for a tiny little amount of the gold that's in here, though. So let's pull out one of my RAM sticks and see what those look like. And we'll take a look here. But I am seeing the same. Oh, look at that. Son of a bitch. Okay. Well, it appears that on this side, what used to be a little gold dot here is gone. If you can see that, which means it's working. And I see a couple other little gold dots here that are still there. And the traces are still there. So we want to leave those in there, but it does appear to be working. I can only say that this method is actually working. I am getting a lot of flake appearing in here, and I still have a ton of raw material in the bottom that is brightly showing gold and doesn't look like it's taken any damage whatsoever from this process. So the idea is the stuff that's pure gold will not flake off and will stay pure gold, and all the other stuff will be flaked off. And then I'll take all the flake and I'll separate that by carat, and I'll take all the solid stuff, and that has all been recovered from electronics and computers, other than vaporizers, because those ones are never really solid from what I'm seeing. But I will show the results when I am done, and the evidence will be in the pudding. As I can already see it's happening that way, I'm just giving you the news as I see it. So, that is it for this video. It is now stirred, and you can see once again we have a nice thick foam. That is exactly what I was talking about. Now, there's no reason to be afraid of this foam. It's not going to overwhelm this vessel. It's not creating noxious fumes that are imminently about to annihilate me. In fact, to demonstrate that, I'm going to take this bag and put it over and just let it sit there with an elastic on it. And you'll see that it doesn't greatly expand this at all. There's no big pressure pushing on this This reaction is actually very good for not producing any noxious fumes or anything like that. But if you feel uncomfortable, you can just put something like this on it. Anyway, right now, I'm looking like this is a pass. Like, I can't even believe this is working. But it does absolutely appear on inspection to be working in a genuine way. There's no this works in seconds. There are some videos that claim this works in seconds. No, it starts to work in seconds when the reaction starts, theoretically. But it'll take you a long time to actually finish this. And keep in mind, you're essentially making a form of salt acid. And while I am using my hands, they're pretty tough, and it's okay. None of this will kill me. I don't need gloves for this. I don't need an inhaler, a breathing apparatus. I don't need any of that. This is great. This is an awesome, easy method to do it. And if I'd have had this method to do it, I'd been doing it many years ago. So I have to thank YouTube big time because I spend a ton of time on YouTube, guys, and I wouldn't have had it without you. Keith out.